Hey there, folks on the internet. I'm here with what I thought was going to be the Vitamin Joy Tarot reading. So once a week, I try to come to folks here with a longer tarot reading. And normally I use the Vitamin Joy Tarot deck, and I normally do a particular type of reading with that. But I got to honor the messages that I'm getting. Before I get into this reading and tell you what it's about, I do want to invite you to episode 32 of the Die Laugh Love podcast. It's being recorded Tuesday, November 11th at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. You can find it on my website at joshsimons.com, and you can find the Die Laugh Love podcast, the Zoom link there. You can participate. You may get a reading. You'll sit with us collectively as I channel spirit. I want to make sure people that are interested in this know that they can attend for free. It's absolutely open to anybody that can hop on Zoom and participate. You might get a reading. You'll definitely contribute to the energy that's there. If you want to see the other 31 episodes, you can see that on my website as well. But episode 32 is happening this Tuesday night. I want to tell you the message that I'm getting about today's tarot reading. And I don't, I don't often read political stuff. I just don't. I don't like to talk about it. I kind of avoid it myself, but I think it's something that we're all thinking about, especially the state of our country, the United States, and what's going on with flights and government shutdown and all of that. So I want to tell you what I am going to do here. I'm going to be using the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, the conventional sort of deck from 1909, probably the most well-known tarot deck that's out there. And I'm going to be giving us what's called the River reading. I do offer this on my website as a reading that you can purchase, but the River reading is a 9-card reading that shows us where we're at in the river of our lives, the waters we're standing in, the 3 cards behind us, that's the past, the water behind us, as well as the 3 cards coming to us in the future. But what I'm being told is that I should be reading from here to the end of the year, basically 2026, January 1st. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shuffle 5 times. I will then take and show us where we're all at collectively, the waters we're standing in, and as much as I hesitate talking about these current events and contributing to discourse and division, I don't want to do that. It's bad enough out there as it is, but let's see what type of energies are headed our way. Let's see where we're at right now. Let's see what's affecting us from our past, and let's see the 3 cards for our future. So where we're at collectively where we're at collectively right now is the 6 of Wands. This is a hard one for me to read, okay, especially where we're at. This is a card of victory. You can see a person on a horse. This is wands. This is fire. There is, again, a sense of victory here. Okay. For me, the relationship that I have with this card is a card that talks about PTSD, because here we have a person who's gone through a battle. And no matter what kind of battle that we're going through, whether we served in, armed combat, or we just had a shitty marriage, or what have you, whenever we go through a battle, we're going to pick up a scar, post-traumatic, after the trauma, stress disorder. And I think no matter what kind of struggles that we all have, there's going to be this point where we need some healing. Well, let's look at it this way. It's chaos. The SNAP funding, what's going on at airports, it's chaos. And we've gotten through a certain amount of chaos to get us here. We're all on the other side of COVID. It's still affecting us. The pandemic, isolation, the shutdowns, all of that still really kind of with us, especially with the kids that would have gone through that. But if you're watching this, you've won those battles. So this is a reminder that we've all survived all our worst days that are behind us. If we're here and I'm doing this and you're watching this, that means that we have survived. That also means that we have survived some shit. So perhaps we look at this as recognition that we have survived our worst days. We have survived chaos before. And I mean, if you want to look at it historically, we all have ancestors that survived the fall of the Roman Empire. Not saying America's going to fall, but we've also, all of our ancestors survived World War II, generally speaking, the Civil War, Your ancestors have gotten through some stuff. You have gotten through some stuff. There's some recognition that it takes strength to get through it. Okay. Another detail in this card that I want to bring, I'm just kind of being called to, is this person all the way here to the left. This person right here, they kind of have a sour look on their face. Most of the people in this crowd are celebrating this person for surviving. There's this person right here that's like pissed off at this person. And I guess no matter how good we have it, there's always going to be somebody that's angry and bitter and jaded and bitchy. And I see that every day on social media, how upset people are. They're angry no matter how good they have it. So don't let the naysayers pull you off your horse. Okay? Let's take a look at the waters we're standing in. Interesting. So I've got both the Hierophant and Judgment. The Hierophant is Greek for priest or holy person. It does talk about systems. It talks about systems. Colleges, systems, organizations, even military. It can talk about religion, yes, and Catholicism, yes. This is the Pope. But it does speak to how our systems are perhaps failing us. And for me, the way I survive current events and the way that I look at things that are going on politically is I try to adopt the air or the attitude of the sociologist and the historian. I try to detach myself clinically from what's going on in current events and trying to understand it from a more historical place so I can better deal with it. And to a great degree, I think what's going on is, some systems that perhaps were broken are being further compromised. And to me, we're kind of in this disruptive period, and I have a great deal of hope for what comes after the disruption. And that's what the Judgment card is. A resurrection, a call to a greater service. And I think, we have to acknowledge that if you're upset with what's going on politically and in America, it's because you have a devotion to higher ideals. I would ask you to consider that the people that disagree with you or in direct opposition to you in your political beliefs, in their own way, they're wanting the best for America. They might have a different opinion of what that looks like, but I think no matter where we're coming from, most of us, generally speaking, most of us peasants are coming from the same place. We want a better life for us, for our families, for our communities, we want America to fulfill its promise. Is that so hard to ask? And I don't think America has been doing a great job of fulfilling its promise, and certainly not doing a great job now. I hope that we do become a place where we can honor those higher ideals. I do hope that we are able to be resurrected into a better version of ourselves. Let's take a look at the 3 cards in our past and kind of what's got us here. Okay, so I pulled the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords, some people have problems with the Knights. I always think that if a Knight comes up, there's a sense of devotion and honor. There's chivalry. A whole lot of people thinking they're right, and a whole lot of people not wondering if the people they disagree with might be right on some levels. Very little middle ground. I think people are very entrenched in their belief systems. This talks about the echo chamber, surrounding yourself with everybody who believes what you believe and not being able to critically think or digest opposing viewpoints. So there's that. A certain level of hot-headedness goes with the Knight of Swords. I'm always reminded that a knight is primarily a good person. They might be making a mistake, though. 2 other big cards, too, come up. So we've got the Moon, and we've got the Wheel of Fortune. So let me talk about the Moon first. This is illusion. This is kind of darkness and psychosis. I call this the Werewolf card. It talks about being under the influence of something. Like a werewolf is under the influence of the moon. And for me, I think that we're all under the influence of media, social media, propaganda, every single one of us. Now, before I go much further, it just popped into my head. So, my book, This book talks about what I've learned from spirit along the way. The secret to life ain't so secret. There's a section in here called the sum of our parts. We are all the sum of our parts. We sometimes have parts that aren't great. I call them the villainous of variables. They're the commercials that tell us to hate our body. You know, the magazine covers that tell us that we're too fat and that we need to diet and all of that stuff. But this chapter here is no one is immune. No one is immune from propaganda. No, you think you are. You think that you're a critical thinker, but every single human is susceptible to that. Every single human, you included. Hate your body? You weren't born into this world hating your body. The only reason you hate your body or dislike it is because of propaganda. And if you think that you're immune to propaganda, you absolutely are not. The Wheel of Fortune. This is fate. This is what goes up must come down. It's the pendulum swing. You know, and we see that with a two-party system here in America. You know, it goes Republican, then it goes Democrat, and back and forth. And there's a lot of what's going on, I think, that's fated, not only for our nation, for our world, for human development in general. And sometimes we need, in some spiritual traditions, what's called the grindstone, something that, you know, through conflict or friction, pushes us on to better systems. You might hate Donald Trump, you might love Donald Trump. I even hate saying the guy's name. But before he came onto the political scene, America was broken. I mean, how long has our minimum wage been? $7.25 an hour. America's been broken for a long time. Let's take a look at what's coming up in the next 2 months of ours. Some more big cards. First card I picked up was the Empress, Mother Energy. This is divine love. This is compassion and grace and love and motherhood and fertility and abundance and all of that. I don't feel this in a negative aspect. This might be more of the divine feminine coming into our world. This is motherhood. You know, this is love. I love seeing this in our future. I love seeing this in our future. Now, we could say, well, you know, this is the holidays. This is Thanksgiving and Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's and the times that we get together, and there's a nurturing quality to that. Sure, absolutely. And we should remember that. Absolutely. But I'm interested to see what happens in the next couple months, especially where women are involved. And, you know, women on the political scene are involved. That divine love that flows through divine femininity. Okay. The Page of Cups is interesting because this is a card of empathy to me. This is a card of feeling spirit. Are we becoming more empathic? I'll tell you, I've been hurting because of what's been going on with the SNAP funding, you know, and of course, when families go without food and, you know, we're in a country where 42 million people, what is that? Almost a fifth or almost a quarter of the amount of people in the United States are on SNAP benefits. Fraud and abuse is something that people, you know, like you pick up on the Reagan myth of the welfare queen and look into that. Reagan was really awful at perpetuating this myth of the welfare queen and was still hanging on to that today. But when it comes to SNAP funding and, you know, people losing money for food, you kind of have two people. The people that are horrified at that and disgusted at the idea that families and children are going without food. And then you have the other side of that coin where people are like, good, oh, there's fraud and abuse and people are on the system and they're able-bodied. Those people lack empathy and understanding to such a great degree. To such a great degree. It's incredible to me how they lack empathy. They don't understand that those systems are in place to help people who need it. And there are just some real cruel people in this world. Are we turning back to empathy? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next couple months, but the Empress, the Page of Cups, and finally the High Priestess, which is another form of the Divine Feminine. It's the subconscious, it's our intuitive side. These are three really great cards for the future. I am perplexed as to how that will come about. Maybe what's happening is because of when the government fails us, and that's absolutely what it's doing now. Blame it on whomever you want. The government is failing us now. They are. They're not working. They're failing us. They're entrenched in their ideological divides, and they don't want to help the American people. Maybe the American people will respond, and I have seen such an incredible outpouring of love and donations to food shelves and all of that. It's been amazing to see humans show up when their systems fail them. I mean, that's what it all comes down to, us showing up for one another when the government doesn't. And hasn't that been the way of humans forever? When their kings and the kingdoms fail us, when the rulers fail, who do we have but each other? So perhaps we need to remember that as we go into the holiday season. That if you have a little bit to give, show up and give it if you can. It's so important that we show up for those who are in the trenches and on the streets and suffering, because obviously the United States government has reached a place where it's defunct. So let's see what kind of rebirth comes from this. I'm still full of hope, as much as I might be frustrated with our political leaders. So all my love to you. It'll be amazing to see where we end up, right? Thank you for being here with us. And if nothing else, look at what's going on around us from a historian, sociologist perspective, and kind of compartmentalize those emotions so we're not killing and hurting our body. Okay. Be mindful of how you're reacting to things so you're not sending all these awful stress signals to your body. Okay? All my love to you. Thank you for being here. Remember, podcast, Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I'll see you then.